Welcome back to the international edition of the Useful Content Creation Show. And today we have with us YouTube channel strategist Matthew Biggar.
Broadcasting live from Relate Studios in Trinidad and Tobago, it's the Useful Content Creation Show with your host, Juma Bannister.
Welcome back to the Useful Content Creation Show. My name is Juma Bannister, and I'm happy to be with you today. Today we have a bit of a different version of the Useful Content Creation Show, a bit of a more stripped down, more personal version. As you can see, the angle is a bit different. We're closer in the camera, so we can talk to you personally. And today is episode 7 of season 2 of our show. Today's supposed to be a truncated version, but it depends on how the conversation goes. And I have a distinct feeling that the conversation is going to go pretty well today, because today with us we have Matt. Now, I'm gonna let Matt introduce himself, but before we do that, let's get some of the formalities of the day out of the way. And the formalities of the day out of the way is to tell the people that they have to throw their bulbs up. Don't ever forget to do that. It is a Useful Content Creation Show.
Bulbs.
Throw your bulbs up, and don't forget to put your hashtag down in the comments. Hashtag UCC Live. And if you don't know where we're streaming this to as well, you can go to youtube.com/It's Good to Relate, and we're also streaming to YouTube as well. I'm not feeling 100%, but I'm pushing through. Actually, like over the last 30 minutes, I began to feel a little better, so I am actually do better than I thought. But let's see how it goes. Let's see how it really goes. So, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna just jump straight into our. I'm gonna let Matthew introduce himself, right? And then we're gonna jump straight into the what do we have? Exclusive video content of the week. So, Matthew, welcome to the show. It's great to have you. Could you introduce yourself and tell the people who you are and what you're about?
Hello, I am Matt Biggar. I am a YouTube strategist. I started my YouTube channel on October 25th of 2019, and I was basically shutting down a production business that I was running previously because I found that I was a bit of a hypocrite. I was being an evangelist for video and telling everybody else out there, you got to be using video in your business, because I always saw this potential with video and what it can do, but I wasn't leading by example. And I wanted to stop doing that. And so I decided to stop doing production. And then I launched a YouTube channel, and I did everything the hard way. I was the guy watching the hundreds of hours of YouTube videos and buying all the courses and reading all the books. And it's been fun, but it's definitely been a lot of hard work. But looking back, I'd never change anything about it. Just it's been an incredible experience. It's a lot of fun.
That's great. And so that was like what year did you shut the business down?
So I went full time on my business in 2017. And then I actually decided to stop doing the videography production at the same time that I launched my YouTube channel. Right. So that was 2019.
All right. So if we were to think about 2016, that was like the time when you were, playing Skyrim and having an entry-level Nikon camera and type of things like that. And then you transition into the business, because I saw the demo reel of that drone stuff, but that's like the first ever video on your YouTube channel.
Yeah, I was just having fun flying a drone around all over BC and Alberta, probably breaking some rules, to be honest, at the time. So I actually ended up getting so paranoid about all the rules and regulations coming out for drones that I decided to sell it, but they've loosened things up. You just have to get licensed now, so it's gotten better.
All right. So you are a YouTube strategist, but you also call yourself, based on our our conversation. Because I remember when you first you you actually filled out the form to be on the show last year, November, since November the 4th.
Yeah.
And in the form, you're like, well, I don't know what I'm going to be calling myself come around this time next year, because things are changing so fast. And what ended up happening is that, let me show the people what ended up happening.
Yeah, I'm Matt, your YouTube strategist, also known as the YouTube Sherpa. Do you have a YouTube channel with no strategy and no growth? Want to avoid the frustration of trying to figure it out all on your own? Hey, Mom. Yeah, I'm starting a YouTube channel. What do you mean that sounds difficult? I'll just watch hundreds of hours of YouTube videos, buy all the courses, and read all the books. I'll be fine. Don't be like that guy. You wouldn't try to climb a mountain with no experience and no equipment, would you? It's hot.
Yeah, so you essentially call yourself now the YouTube Sherpa. For the people who don't know what a Sherpa is, I know what a Sherpa is, of course, because I'm very cultured. For the people who don't know what a Sherpa is, could you explain what that means?
Yeah, I mean, there's coach, there's guide, there's consultant. I like this Sherpa because, number one, like, you don't try to climb a mountain without proper guidance.
Right.
And it's really a brand play for me and having some fun with branding. What happened last year was I actually worked with someone who does branding archetypes. And I discovered my two primary branding archetypes, which are the innocent, is simple and pragmatic.
Yes.
And the other one is community driven. And so I just started to really lean into this stuff. And that's where this idea for the Content Creators Campfire podcast and community came, because I really like that idea of like people gathering around the fire and sharing stories. And there was something so fun about that. And so that's why the Sherpa, a lot of my branding and messaging as I progress in this journey is going to be more and more about, you know, finding your way on the trail, getting to the campfire, climbing the mountain, not getting lost in the pitfalls and the traps. So that's what it was all about.
But in order to get there, you went through many different versions of who you were. I guess at some point you were calling yourself creative media producer and a couple of other names. What was the process like moving from not knowing what to call yourself to getting to the point where you're saying like, this is it? Could you have done that without external help, or that was really critical for you to come to that point of finalization of your identity?
That's such a good question. I feel like we're all just too close to our own stuff. For some things, when it comes to branding, messaging, marketing strategy, content strategy, to do it for yourself is very difficult, even if you're an expert at helping other people do it. So I think, yes, getting that external help, that objective perspective, the guidance really did help me a lot. And I can say that with confidence because, you know, I went through a lot of iterations and assumptions and analyzing everything about, you know, is this the right message? I tried all kinds of brand play out, even before. This is years, my friend. Years I've been working on this, way too long. And it was the guidance that helped me push through. So I definitely recommend getting some help with this stuff.
Yeah, don't go it alone. Even if you think you can, don't just try to do it by yourself. Let's say hello to Claire in the comments. Hey there, Claire. Good to see you. And Allison, she knows what to do. She's throwing up her bulbs.
She's got the light bulbs.
And UCC Live. This is a bit of a different format this evening, Allison. How are you doing, people? Don't forget, if you have any questions for Matt, leave it down in the comments. And we'll get it on and ask him what he thinks. And so, okay, so you're saying that getting external help was critical for you in coming into a clear sense of your identity. And I know for a fact that you have been helping people do that for themselves. What has that process been like helping other people? Has that clarified you even more as well?
Definitely. When you start working with other people, on something like honestly as big as a YouTube strategy, because it's completely overlooked by a lot of people. But it goes pretty deep, and there's a lot of work that goes into it. But by working with others, you can come up with the systems and the processes that will get people to their destination. And so I knew that I needed a 6-month program in order to get people results. It couldn't be just one-off strategy sessions here and there for something like YouTube.
Yeah.
Because it takes time, it takes consistency, and people don't know where to get started. I started running polls on LinkedIn to see where people's challenges were. Started getting on calls with people, having conversations with them. What's going on? I would actually go and review a lot of people's channels from LinkedIn. Like almost everyone has a YouTube channel. Like almost everyone does. You can find it pretty easily. So yes, absolutely. Working through that with other people helps bring a lot more clarity, and you can build case studies. And that's what I'm in the process of doing right now.
Right. Has anybody ever challenged you based on your YouTube numbers?
Yes. I won't name the person, but I had a conversation with someone who looked at my subscriber count and said, I wouldn't hire you. I would go and hire someone else who has better results. And I was a little bit surprised because like I've actually done a lot of like mental work here to not let something like that hold me back. And the truth is, I've been in the weeds for 2 years and I don't have as much experience as some other people, but I've invested a lot of time, effort, and energy into learning the platform and what works and what doesn't. And I'm always testing, I'm always learning. And so it really has to be a value alignment. And when I discovered that, that's when I was able to release these expectations of trying to sell services and enroll people all the time. And it became more of a conversation of, do we have value alignment? Is this a person that I want to work with? Can I serve and support them? And are they ready? And once I actually released that part of like trying to close and sell people, it became more of, does this make sense? And a lot of the times people would start to ask me about the services versus me trying to push it or sell it on them. So I think it came from a place of authenticity. A part of that was the branding play, but also just, yeah, it's true. I'm around 2,075 subscribers as of this video. The channel grows at about 160 subscribers per month currently. And that's up from about 97 a month in October, November. So it's starting to accelerate. And that's kind of the cool thing that can happen with YouTube once you figure a few things out.
Right. So Claire saying they didn't realize that you're like the sweet spot coach of entrepreneurs, tons of strategy, still small enough to give one-on-one help.
Thanks, Claire. That's true.
Yeah.
It's not too big. And I think that a lot of the times, like entrepreneurs, when they get a lot of results, like if you're dealing with someone who's got 100,000 or 1 million subscribers, it can be difficult for them to tap back into that beginner state of mind.
Yeah.
Where you're just starting out. And that's why I love the simple and pragmatic approach in communication. This is why I like your content, because of how you present information. It's not complicated. We're not using jargon. People need step-by-step guidance. So my YouTube channel is very much for beginners.
Yeah. I can feel when I look at your content, you take a lot of time to give the detail of something so that it can be functional for somebody. So not just like talk about it in a kind of a floofy kind of way, but really kind of say, okay, you could take this and you could go use it now. And so it equips people almost immediately. And talking about equipment, I know that you mentioned that you, and this may have been connected to you shutting down your business, that you used to buy equipment to compensate for a lack of confidence.
Yes.
So could you explain in your own estimation, why is that dangerous for a beginner? And how did you overcome that lack of confidence?
There's a term on YouTube. It's called GAS, Gear Acquisition Syndrome.
I didn't
And
know
this
that.
is common for YouTubers to start to want to buy the next light, the next microphone, the next camera, and do things like polish a background and perfect all of these little things, but it's a compensation for lack of confidence in most cases. And so I had to release that, and it was perfectionism too. You know, as a videographer, you are trying to dial everything in, all the technical stuff, right? You want everything to sound and look great when you're selling production services. And I brought that into this studio. And there was a point where, you know, I'd spent too much money and I was trying to figure out, like, I ended up buying stuff that I didn't even need and ended up selling. Like, I bought an $800 tripod that's
Wow.
made for like 30 pounds of equipment. I'm like, I didn't know what I was doing. Why would I buy that tripod? It was expensive. But yeah, I think the biggest thing is realizing that, you know, done is better than perfect. And I could have started to release videos a lot earlier. I could have started this journey sooner. I don't really have any regrets at this stage, but that's the thing. If you're holding yourself back from getting started because you think you don't have the perfect setup, then you have to take a closer look at why you feel that way.
Right. I think that's important that people really do that assessment, because sometimes you really could be using it as a crutch. Like, you know,
Yeah.
I got all this big equipment. It don't really take much. I mean, all you really need is your phone.
Right.
It doesn't really take much. And I know you're always looking for like really useful tools, not just any tools, but new and useful tools to improve your content creation. And you do talk about tools on your YouTube channel. So which tool you think has made you the most productive, and which tool, apart from that tripod, do you regret investing in?
I would say the most useful tool for me right now is camo. And that's because it's just I spent a lot of time messing around with my Logitech web camera. Like, I tried different programs, installed all kinds of different software, could never get an accurate image off of it. It just didn't look good. And so I wasted a lot of time trying to fix it. And I found some information about web cameras, and they're just generally not that great
Yeah.
because you're running off USB when you can actually harness the power of your phone. I'm using a professional DSLR right now, just to be transparent. I have a Panasonic GH5 as my web camera right now. It's a little overkill, but I love the camo application because you can control everything right at your desk. So that's really cool.
Right. And what about the worst purchase ever?
I wouldn't have started off with a Nikon camera.
What? I mean, what was that? What was the Nikon? The 5200,
D3300.
3300. Yeah, I knew it was some entry level Nikon camera that you had.
Yeah.
I knew it was that.
So, quick story about that. I didn't know anything about video in the beginning. I saw this job post up online. I was still working my full-time job, and it was for a foot clinic, and they wanted somebody to make videos for them. So I reached out and I said, you know what, I can help you. I need you to buy my equipment for me. And then I'll work it off. And I did. They sent me money to buy, you know, this Nikon camera and my Rode filmmaker kit for my wireless microphone. And I just did interviews for them to work it off. So that's how I got started with video. I didn't know anything what I was doing.
Oh, really?
I just love teaching and learning.
So most of your videos in the early stages were just feet?
Yeah. You should see my original gimbal. It's like a medieval contraption. Let me grab it really quickly and show everybody.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see.
Look at this thing. Look at this.
Oh, one of those. The ones with the
It only takes 45 minutes to balance your camera on it.
Yeah, everybody had one of those. Those are terrible.
Yeah, no, it's awful.
Yeah. You know, those were back in the days when gimbals were like, we had like this one, I can't remember. It was so fancy and it had a big curve in it and all this sort of stuff. And they had these weights and everything, and it was like all the rage. And we just bought it and we never really used it. It was just like a waste of money.
Now the Hollywood ones are pretty crazy. They got like entire like suits. They look like robots.
yeah. You have your whole
But the tech's come a long way, right? Because you can get one for your phone now for like under $100 and it works amazing.
Yeah. All of the DJI stuff and things like that really and truly now is just accessible to anyone, and to some degree you don't even need much of a gimbal anymore, because the phones have built-in stabilization and different things. If you have a stable hand, you can use it. So you I know that you made a comment recently, like, well, how recent was that? I don't know. And let me show you what this comment is. That's 5 months ago.
Yeah.
So this is my most cringeworthy piece of content.
My first YouTube video.
Yeah. What technically is your second YouTube video.
Right. I know. You always correct me on that.
Should we show the people a little bit of what that was?
Yeah, give them a clip of what an awkward person on camera looks like.
Before we do that, let's say hello to Sebastian. Sebastian, thank you so much for showing up. Sebastian, I'm always shocked at when Sebastian turns up, because it's like 3-something in the morning where he is right now. So thank you,
He's
Sebastian.
up late, hanging out with us.
Yeah, he's up really late. Okay, so let me show you Matthew at his best right now. All right, let's do that.
What's up, purpose-driven entrepreneurs? Matt Biggar here, empowering you to grow your personal brand faster with video. This channel is going to bring you weekly tips, strategies, and tutorials so that you can maximize your potential with video in less time. So if you're new here, consider subscribing, tap the bell for notifications, and contribute to the community by commenting in the section below the video. And just let me know, what are you going through? What are you getting stuck on with video? What do you need to help? What resources, things could help you overcome self-limiting beliefs and things that are holding you back? I love to create messages and videos for you that help you overcome any challenges that you're going through in your business, especially when it relates to video. It's one of the things that I'm really passionate about. It's the reason why I started this channel, and I just wanted to make this quick introductory video. I'm filming this with my cell phone. I want to make it short and sweet, and I just want to let you know that you can get started. I practiced this video probably 10,000 times before I ever released it, but this is the one I decided I was going to upload because it makes more sense to get started and take imperfect action forward rather than getting stuck, over analyzing and getting in your own head, judging yourself, like all these things that we deal with when we're getting in front of a camera lens. And so I hope you join in the journey. I'm going to be sharing lots of stories, interviews, struggles, what it feels like to get stuck, and then what it's like to get unstuck. Stuff that I'm learning from the books that I'm reading. Lots of things that pertain to video and how to harness its power, and still talking. how to create your messaging and get really clear about who your customer is, and how do you use video to grow a personal brand. And so if that sounds great to you, then please join in the journey, join in the comments, contribute to the community, and I hope to see you in the next video.
Oh, coming in hard with the hand transition too. Is the
wow, yeah. It's so fancy. Some of that stuff still holds up.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like sometimes when it's like a reflection of what you're going through at the moment when you're creating videos. It's like the challenge that you're working on yourself. That's what I was talking about essentially in that video.
Yeah. I was thinking that, I could see the awkwardness in it. And it does get a little rambly, It seems like you wanted to stop, but you kind of said, let me just add this piece on here and add this piece on here. But the things you were saying were true. It's like it's real stuff. It's just that you weren't as sharp. Have you done a new one of those yet?
No, maybe I should.
Maybe
that could be fun.
Maybe you should. Like, and then we could do a side by side and see how that looks. how that looks.
Yeah, I think one thing I would mention is that like a lot of people get hung up in the channel trailer on YouTube, which is the video that plays when you're on the homepage of someone's channel.
Right.
Beginners will usually try to craft this perfect trailer.
Hmm.
I don't even use that anymore. I actually start using the channel trailer as a way to promote videos that I want to be highlighted on the channel.
Mm.
So instead of, making that kind of a content, I think that that's actually a really smart approach. If you've got some videos that you want to get more views on your channel, so you can put one in there. But I'm game. I can do it. I can make a new one.
How do you? Oh well, okay. Is that something that you have to manually put in? Like if you wanted to promote very specific videos, do you have to go in and manually tell YouTube, now put this one in this spot? Okay, so it is
Yeah.
you can't set it as like upload new video.
There's
insert
two
it.
videos that you can set in your settings. One is a video for new people who don't know you, and then the
Mhm,
other one is returning subscribers.
mhm.
So you get to choose from any video you want basically to put there to highlight.
Right. So how did it feel to hit your 2K on YouTube?
It felt pretty good because it worked really hard. I think the one thing that has slowed my progress down is number one, over analyzing everything. But I went in a lot of different directions. I try to encourage people to niche down in the beginning and really find some sweet spot for sub niche topics on the platform to focus on and hit like 7 to 8 times in a playlist so that you can grow faster. I was like personal branding videos, content. I wanted to make a video marketing channel, but every single time I put a video out that was about marketing or personal branding, it just did not perform nearly as well as the other stuff. Filmic Pro, applications people want to learn. This is what I've discovered through my own analytics, that the videos that perform on my channel and continue to bring in subscribers over time are creative applications, things people want to learn how to make the videos. They don't want personal branding tips and all that stuff. It just not for me anyways. And that's not what my channel is about anymore. Really, I want to focus in on the creative workflow aspect. So
Right.
if I'd done that sooner, the channel would have grown faster. I'm confident in that. But again, no regrets.
Yeah. And so you would say that, I mean, you said from you doing that personal branding content and other things that did not kind of align with the tools and the helpful stuff really held the channel back. But it wasn't necessarily the actual content. It was almost like that was an interruption to the actual thing you should have been doing, because for somebody else who's focusing on marketing and personal branding, that is what they should actually do. So it wasn't the content itself, but it was like how it was working for you,
Yeah,
or
I
not
was
working.
branching out too soon.
Right.
So if I wanted to talk about personal branding, I should have just made the channel about that and then stuck with it.
Right.
Instead of talking about production, Adobe Premiere Pro, like all these different software and tools, and then throwing personal branding stuff in the mix. You can definitely diversify, especially if you go with a personal brand on the platform. You can get into other topics, but you have to give it the right amount of time. You got to put enough work into hitting a topic from multiple angles so that you're giving the algorithm the information it needs to find more people that like your content, because it's not trying to find viewers for your videos. It's trying to find videos for viewers.
Right.
There's a big difference there. And when you put a video out, it goes out to your subscriber base and it's a sample that then determines whether or not it's going to be able to get into suggested and browse and other features on YouTube. They won't promote it if it doesn't perform well. So that's the problem with putting out how to edit video and then going into personal branding. Because if I got subscribers here, then all of a sudden I'm talking about something completely different. And that's why you see niche channels performs so well on the platform. This is something that I'm actually very interested in, is niche marketing on YouTube, because the channels that grow really fast, like think about this, like van life. Like that's just a one very specific topic with like 1,000 subtopics. Right. But that kind of a channel could grow extremely fast in with the right time, in the right timing. Timing is a big part too.
Right. And I've seen that happen with channels as well. Okay, before I respond to that, let me just acknowledge some people now in the comments. This is actually Nathan Can. Nathan, your LinkedIn settings are preventing your profile pic from showing. So go check that out. But this is Nathan. I can see him here on my phone. And Janelle from Facebook is saying, yeah, people want to learn. Good focus. Exactly. And Sebastian is saying, do you use YouTube Shorts, Matt?
That's a fun question. I actually don't. There's so many different opinions about shorts right now, and it's kind of hard to figure out because YouTube doesn't have all the answers yet. They are really testing a lot. They are encouraging people to do it. I think it's a great opportunity. Some people are saying start a separate channel. Some people are saying like never call out your longer form videos. I don't like how they show up on my channel, because you can't set thumbnails and there's no, like, it just ends up getting tossed into the mix with everything. So personally, I think I would almost rather grow my TikTok presence than to create shorts, as an emphasis in content strategy, setting an intention behind that content, and then also posting it onto YouTube Shorts. I'm okay with that, but I'm not a big advocate for it right now, just because there's so many questions and different opinions from influencers that I watch on a regular basis. I get a lot of conflicting opinions about the shorts right now.
Yeah. So nobody's clear as to what's the best way to use them yet, as far as you're concerned.
I think that they're going to roll out some new features here this year that's going to make it a lot more viable. People are asking for the YouTube Shorts shelf on your channel.
Right.
There's a number of different things that are being planned around it, but I mean, they want people to use it for sure. They put a huge creator fund out there. They're sending out more money for people that create shorts. I think it's a really good match with TikTok content, though. It's got to be short and snappy.
Yeah. And TikTok hasn't been doing too badly, if I do say so myself. Well, so talking about that, you mentioned thumbnails. In terms of your rank for critical things on a YouTube video, what a YouTube video needs, where does your thumbnail rank?
So I think your title is number one, because it becomes the keyword opportunity, and it also informs your thumbnail. But if you don't have an amazing thumbnail, no one will watch your video. So that's the thing, right? Like, you can have the best title in the world, but if you don't have a good eye-catchy thumbnail, then no one will click on it. Click-through rate is critical to success on YouTube. We need to be testing and learning constantly about what works and what doesn't when it comes to thumbnails for YouTube. I would say that it's more important for that platform than any other social media. But I mean, thumbnails aren't really, like, you can set one on LinkedIn, and it probably has a small impact, but when you're scrolling through the feed, it just disappears instantly anyways.
Yeah.
But there's so many, I would say it is number one has to be the title, because it informs everything else. Ultimately, your optimized video on YouTube should be a great title that's interesting in natural human language, that's backed up with a great description that also uses the same keywords, and a thumbnail that adds context to the idea of that title, so that it's not copying it. I see this all the time. People do this when they don't know what they're doing in the beginning, is they take the exact title and then they put the whole thing and they cram it into that thumbnail. And someone's on a mobile device, they can't see it. There's too much text. You got like 3 words. One of my favorite things to mention about this topic is that Netflix did a study on thumbnails, and who's got more information about click-through rate that's not YouTube?
Yeah,
than Netflix.
Yeah.
They have so much information. They discovered this one thing, that if your thumbnail has more than 3 objects, and that could be 3 faces, the click-through rate is lower. And they've got a lot of data on that. So I trust them.
Right. Because that's like Philip DeFranco has like 3 faces in his thumbnails all the time. Yeah, so you probably know something. I mean, somebody channels with. Okay, let me. Okay, so there's a. I don't know how the channel is doing recently, but there's a channel that I used to look at. Basically, it was Steven the Seagull. I don't know if
Steven Seagal or someone else.
No, that's Steven Seagal.
So close.
Oh, that's so funny. I never thought of that. That's actually really funny. That's really funny. It just occurred to me. Oh my goodness. Why did that never occur to me? There's a guy who's befriended this seagull, and he calls him Steven. Oh, it never occurred to me before. How come I never thought of that?
He's probably got to play on that.
Oh yeah, I didn't know. Anyway, so and I think his thing started off as trying to befriend the seagull in 60 days or something like that. And it was like ultra niche, and it got a lot of views. And he just had terrible thumbnails. It just like but I guess that the thing that made it people gravitate towards it is because the content was very original. Right.
It's also entertaining.
Yeah. Do you know of the channel?
I haven't seen any of it, but the principle behind that content is an entertainment piece. Right. I think that's why someone would want to watch it.
Right.
Because it's like, what? Okay, this guy's. It's intriguing. It's curious. It piques curiosity. That's important.
Right. So what are the other types of things that will be very important? If one thing is like an entertainment factor, what are the other things that are important?
What, can you rephrase the question?
Okay, yeah. You said that a content like that would have entertainment value, and that is why people would look at it, right? If something did not have, and I know the usual thing is inspire, educate, entertain, type of thing. What are some of the other things that would cause people to lean into someone's content, even if it wasn't, say, an original type of content like that guy was?
Yeah, personality is huge, and I wish I'd figured that out a little earlier, because you saw the awkward video, right? Very rigid. Lots of YouTubers are like that in the beginning. Personality is really all we have. That's our uniqueness nowadays. Right. Like you can go and learn anything that I've ever taught on my YouTube channel from probably thousands, maybe tens of thousands, maybe even millions on some of these topics. When I'm doing my research, I see videos that I'm targeting keywords for that have millions of results already, but it's still possible to rank against millions of videos.
Right.
But the thing that is important is personality. I think that is your uniqueness.
Right.
YouTube started out as a dating website. If you actually watch the first video, it's a little awkward. And one of the founders is at the zoo talking about an elephant.
The elephant video, yeah.
And so those guys had no idea what they were doing when they started it. YouTube took on this own life of itself. And they had to pivot and change and solve problems in order to grow it into what it is today. And that's an important lesson to know, that history about YouTube. If you're considering building a channel on the platform, you need to be a problem solver and put your personality into your content, because that's the thing that really helps you stand out.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm going to start to lean into that a little more in the future. Doing okay with that on LinkedIn, but I'm not sure LinkedIn it's well, let's just say I could put my talents in other places as well. So Sebastian is saying, cool, smart move, repurposing from TikToks to Shorts. Thank you, Matt.
That's so funny. I was actually literally 2 hours ago trying to plan a video that would teach people how to repurpose a YouTube video into a TikTok video. With Premiere Pro.
Right, and you mentioned that in one of your videos. You're saying that if it's if you center frame, you can crop it to be
Yeah, and you can almost automate that process with Premiere Pro. So it's like really fun. But it's like sometimes I'm just like, how are people searching for this problem? Like understanding the context of the search language can be very difficult because I've got this idea, but I don't always have full clarity about what would someone type into Google
Yeah.
or YouTube to solve this problem.
What question would somebody ask? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and that is such a big deal. Like what you're saying is such a big, because sometimes I have a problem and I don't know what question to ask to get the result I want. You know,
Yeah.
and I have to try 2 or
Yeah.
3 times, because the way I would phrase it to say, what would a normal person say? And I try to say it that way. And then like, okay, no results. And then what would, you know, and I try a few, and then at the 3rd or 4th time, it's like, okay, these are the results I want. It's interesting.
And that reason right there is why it is so important to have an audience first viewer experience approach, where you are almost obsessed with learning about your audience, because you have to understand their state of mind. And that's why I really lean in on beginner content creators, because I can understand what that was like. I can tap into that perspective. And your search language changes as you progress, right? As a beginner, your search language is like, you don't even know what you're looking for. What are you typing in? Like, you don't know necessarily how to actually type that search in. That's such an important point. So you have to be kind of thinking about that with your strategy on the platform. Is like, do I want to work with beginners, or are these people more advanced? I look at other guys on the platform. Gerald Undone is someone who I really look up to because of his technical approach and how absolute detailed he gets into technical production, but he explains it in a simple and pragmatic way.
Yeah.
But I saw his stuff and I was like, there's no way I'm going down this road for my own channel. I want to help beginners.
Yeah. So you expect people to come, stay with you for a while, and then move on.
Yeah, that's totally fine. And I'll come up with new stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it's like your channel can evolve with you. Unless one thing I will say is I've seen people that choose a branded channel that's about a specific topic. For example, men who want to learn how to pick up women. This is not something I would create, but a friend of mine did.
Right.
And he burnt out on the topic because he grew up. He evolved as a human being, and he had progressed beyond this subject matter and was no longer passionate about it, not interested in it. But that is the idea behind his channel. And he basically just gave up on it. He had like 60,000 subscribers.
Wow. How long did it take him to burn out?
I think he was at it for at least 3 years.
Wow, at 60K, and he just decided. Well, I guess that could happen if you're doing those type of lifestyle type things, because you know, it almost the channel then demands of you. You demand of the channel, but then the channel demands of you after a while. And I'm wondering, what does that shift feel like? Do you feel like your channel demands of you, Matthew?
I think that if you try to change your subject matter, it can be very hard. It can be really difficult. You might almost be better off to start a separate channel with a niche topic than to try to pivot too far off the path. So in the beginning, it's important to have an idea for the theme of your channel that you know is something that you're passionate about, that you could talk about for years, and you have some subject matter expertise in that area. So that's that sweet spot. But you should have something that you can play long term with. 2 years, 5 years. It's got to be something you're passionate about. I'm a big advocate for that. I love marketing. I like production. I'm a creative, like, workflow nerd. I want to find those little things in the process of creation that makes it faster or easier, or it helps somebody in some way. And so because I invest time into solving those problems for myself, and I get really excited about finding those opportunities and new applications that make things faster and more productive, that is a topic that I could talk about for years.
Right. Definitely. Some stuff is going on in the comments. I have no idea. Okay, let me just address some of these comments stuff here right here. So this is Nathan Khan. You can't see his thing. So he was talking since earlier about high quality captions and subtitles and a disruptive attention grabber. I guess he was referring to what makes sense to have at the beginning, and of course, preferably in the first 3 seconds. Kareem just got here. Also true.
What's up?
Very interesting. And then something happened here. What are you talking about, Nathan? Did I miss something? You just realized. What did I miss? Did I miss something? I saw that it went over your head earlier. Did I miss something? Did you say something that I missed, Matthew?
I don't think so.
Oh, I don't know. I begin to feel bad about it. Yes, and they're lolling in the thing. Yes, demands a need, but I had to talk my passions for 22 years now. Oh yeah.
It can be demanding. And I think that, when you get to a certain level, like you have made a commitment to people to show up.
Yeah.
So, but I think it's okay to take breaks too. I've seen videos of like YouTubers that I've watched that they make a video about the fact that they took a month off.
Right.
This is where batch shooting comes in so handy. And it's a big struggle for me because I've been a procrastinator, releasing one video a week last minute at different times. I was not consistent with my release schedule. I always had one out every week, except for 2 weeks where I took time off because I was getting obsessed with the wrong things.
Right.
Like just showing up from a place of obligation is not a good place to show up from. So yeah, I mean, it is demanding and it can lead to burnout. And that's something that I like to try to take a stand against with people and show them that there's other ways to do it. But right now I'm actually in the process of tearing apart my entire workflow because I want to get to that place where I can shoot 5 videos. They're all planned, they're all optimized. I've shot them, I edit them, everything is in batches because I know that that's the only way to like actually create more content without having to sacrifice too much on quality.
Right. And you need to do that. I think that's one of the things that I discovered. I mean, it's much more difficult to do it with the longer videos, I have to admit. I know when you start to talk about YouTube videos. Okay, sorry, for this week, I was not well. All of the videos I released on TikTok, I didn't record anything this week. Those are all batched last week. And so that's how I made it through. But I know when you're talking about 5 to 8 minute videos, it's much more difficult to do that. What is the actual plan you're thinking of in order to get your batching done in that way?
Well, my favorite app right now is called Notion, and I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's extremely popular. And
Yes.
the reason why I love it is because you can create your own templates inside of it. So I've got the content calendar, right? I've got the pillars for the production process, the Kanban, or some people say Kanban board, to track the progress of a project. But it also prompts me because I've written questions in there and I'm working on making this better. But having those prompts helps me identify, okay, what are the shots I'm going to shoot? And for the first time ever, I planned all my B-roll before I shot the video. I was always like, when I was a videographer, I would just like go and shoot video. I would wing it. And
Right.
it makes for an editing nightmare. Having a great plan and knowing what shots you want to put in there. And this is key for longer form content. If you want to keep people engaged and watching and keep your average view duration up, which 40 to 50%, by the way, is a great target for anybody. Is just to get people to watch half of your video, really, is great for YouTube. But when you actually have your B-roll set up in a way that makes it more engaging so that you're showing instead of telling, you have visuals coming up. You go and grab some stuff from Storyblocks or whatever website. There's even free ones now you can use. but that's going to help you a lot. So I don't know if I answered your question, but I think that it's the biggest thing with Notion is helped me plan out my shots in advance so that I can make the content more visual. And that is more time consuming, especially when you start to do storytelling elements and you have to leave your studio.
Right.
That's the
Right.
thing, right? Because I see other creators and I'm like, oh my God, I know what they put into that. Because like they shot in like 30 locations for one video. I'm like, that would take me
Yeah.
forever. It's
Yeah.
insane. I like to just create in my studio space. I got a 9 square foot room. I'm good. But it's good to
Yeah.
get out of your element once in a while. And
No, I agree with you. You would realize that I don't like to leave this room.
I saw your TikTok where you were outside.
Oh, that's the this thing. This like stood out to everybody because, like, yeah, no, and I had to literally call myself out and say, no, that's not the point of this video. Is not me being outside. I recorded that video. We took the kids swimming, and while they were in the pool, I was just sitting in the car, and I was like, "It's might as well make a video while I'm here." And I made a video while we were waiting on them. They were in the pool.
Improv.
Yeah. But I knew what I wanted to say. I wanted to talk about our
That
whole
helps a
content
lot.
idea. Yeah. And by the way, I use Notion, but I use it wrong. And I saw that video where you asked, what should you make another tutorial on? Make it on Notion, please. I want to find out things.
Awesome.
You know, so
you
I
gotta
can
leave
do
that stuff in the comments though, man. Don't be a lurker.
Yeah. I need to go back and do some of that stuff. While I was researching, well, I still try to do some research, while I was researching, I don't generally tend to interact. But I knew that yeah. I wouldn't
I'd
look.
love to create one. Honestly, it's so I've tried Asana, I've tried Monday, I've tried Trello. Trello's probably the easier one to use. I tried ClickUp. I thought, oh, ClickUp's amazing, and then I started digging into it, and I'm like, oh, this is like agency level software for people who have 40,000 clients. I'm like, I'm done. But then I found Notion and Thomas Frank. Yes, that's his name. Great YouTuber. Right. Puts a tremendous amount of effort into his content. He's kind of a productivity workflow guy, and he talks about Notion. I learned a lot from him. But what I'm finding right now is these guys are so advanced with their Notion setups that they don't remember what it's like to set up things as a beginner, because I'm like getting lost in there. Like, I don't know how to do what he's talking about right now. So I'm going to break that app down and make it super simple for people to get it set up as a beginner. It's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it. They don't do brand deals unless you have 50,000 subscribers. I already checked.
Oh, they don't. Okay, that's
and no affiliate program. Oh, come on, guys.
Yeah. That's terrible. That's terrible. Affiliates is. Well, we'll talk about that in a little bit. Kareem is saying that I am on break now, a hiatus. Everybody needs a break every now and again. And Majida is saying, "Hey, hi, Juma. Hey, Matt.
Hello."
And 8-minute batching of several hours of art focus video is a bit different from speaking only in my content.
For sure.
Everybody has, has different things that they do. And, batching is something I definitely have also thought about. Factor art time. Yeah, because Majida, Majida, right?
That's where my nerd brain kicks in, because I'm like, I wonder if there's opportunities for you to, compound your efforts. Because sometimes there's like just little, you can combine certain parts of it and you can get more done. So sometimes the question you have to ask yourself is, how can I batch shoot my content? Like something like that. Like that how can I question is gold. It helps me all the time because it makes me start to think about creative solutions to problems. Yeah. And there's almost always an opportunity for all of us, no matter what kind of content we're creating, to leverage our efforts more effectively.
Right. Definitely. How can I? Yeah. And I think that's the thing that people tend to see the barriers before they see the solutions. Yeah. So I think that's something everybody should consider. How can I make this work? And here's the thing, like with me, I try to make the thing as easy as possible. If something is in my way, I try to remove it. If it gets too difficult, I'm like, that's why I have this thing permanently set up. I don't touch anything. No one is allowed to touch anything.
Yeah.
Type of thing. It's even harder as you go. I guess Nathan was referring to having to have multiple YouTube channels.
Yeah, or changing your subject matter on one channel. I think
Yeah,
is he
exactly.
might be referring to that because yeah, you can, and that's a really important topic. So I'd share with this really quickly. My breakthrough videos that got a lot of views, and I'm saying like 20, 30,000 for my channel size. I was really happy with that. I think it's all subjective. People have different opinions about what a lot of views are, but it was Filmic Pro, which is an app for your phone for shooting content. If you're not familiar with it,
Right.
and so I thought that I was trapped. Like I'm not making a channel about Filmic Pro. That's not why I started on YouTube.
Right.
But then I started having breakthroughs in other creative process applications. So an example is how to add a link, a cover photo video. I can't remember my exact title, but right when creator mode came out on LinkedIn, I made a video about how to actually set that up with your phone, how to do it. And that video is still performing extremely well.
Right.
So
Right.
that's where the light bulb went off. Okay, I can cover other topics. It's okay. I'm all right.
Wasn't
I
wasn't
got
I in
stuff.
one of those? Wasn't I in one of those videos?
So I put your cover story video in my 8 cover story video examples video because I wanted
Yeah.
to show people about different creators and how they're using it. But it was the one that kind of opened the door for LinkedIn content for me was teaching people how to actually do the process of
Oh,
creating their first one.
all right.
So
Let me just check the video with me in it. That's not at 1 million views yet. Just checking in.
no, sorry,
No,
bud.
no. Okay, it'll happen. It'll happen.
It's got a few hundred though. It's
Oh,
growing.
okay.
But that's you create relationships between your content on YouTube. That's very fun to do. A playlist is completely overlooked by a lot of people because
Oh,
if you create a playlist of videos that work together, that 2% of people that click through from the first video into the next one, that's gold for the algorithm to find more people like them for your content and you get into suggested more effectively. Playlists are key.
so I have a question. I have a question for me. This is for my own benefit now. There are lots of comments going up. Nathan is saying a lot. Majida is kind of like, throwing her emojis up and everything. But I have a question for me. This is my personal benefit. I'm being quite selfish here, people. I know you all are looking on, but I'm going to ask Matt a question. All right. So this show here is going to be on the YouTube channel, right? It's going straight to YouTube. The channel that this exists on is a very old channel, but I haven't been doing much with it, so it has no reference really. A live show like this, which is like an hour long or something of that sort, we can make a playlist for this and then still go and create other content that is relevant, that is connected to this type of content, and successfully run a channel in that way? Or would you say that having a long format live show like this makes it the only thing that you should focus on that particular channel?
That's such a good question. And there isn't a one size fits all for this answer. But what I've seen and what I've learned from other creators is their strategy is to take longer form and repurpose it down with a specific idea that was extracted from that piece of content and then optimize that new piece of content in shorter format with the keywords and all that stuff. So how old is the channel?
I mean, like from existence?
Yeah, like we're talking like 10 years.
Many years old. I can't
Okay.
remember. It was
And
just
so do you also have a bunch of other just random content on the channel?
there's like what, like right now is like 8 videos that are there.
And they're all these lives?
No, that 8 videos, 8
Okay.
random things.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the lives only started to go onto the channel this year.
Is it called the Useful Content Creation Show or something like that? Or
I mean, the channel?
yeah.
No, it's not.
Oh, okay.
It's not.
Yeah. So like I want to clarify one thing, because when you create a playlist, if your videos are like an hour long, it's probably not going to work, because
Mm,
it's extremely unlikely that people are going to stick around and watch that whole piece of content and then also click through and watch another one. Do you know what I mean? Like to watch one video and then to click through a playlist into another one. But if you repurpose the content into shorter form content and you make it into a playlist with, 3-minute videos, 5 minutes, like 8 minutes, that kind of thing, that could work really well for you. But it comes down to what is the title of that video and what are the keywords that are in there, and how are you optimizing that to get in front of search traffic. That's the game. That's
right,
how I play it. That's not how everyone does it. There's other ways to do YouTube, but I love SEO. It's a lot of fun.
right,
Did
right,
I answer
right.
your question?
Yeah, I think it did. I think one of the things I was thinking to add to what the question, one of the things I was thinking of is, if I were to add, what repurposing is one thing from the long format content, but let's just suppose I were to take these LinkedIn videos, but the very specific ones on marketing or the very specific ones on content creation, and use those as content for the YouTube channel. Right title, right thumbnails. Um, the question I'm getting into is, will that will the length of these videos then impact how people then consume content for the shorter ones? Or is that it doesn't really matter?
Each piece of content has its own ID. And so when you upload it and you publish it, it gets a content ID, and it does perform independently. But for channel growth, you have to think of the viewer.
Mm,
So, what is the compelling reason why they want to subscribe to your channel? What is that reason that they're going to get out of, because that it's a transaction essentially. I click on that red subscribe button because I think I'm going to get something from this channel.
mm,
So I need to know what that is in order for me to want to do that. So
mm,
your channel should have a theme that is, your channel art, your banner, your about page, and the structure of your playlist and how you end up mapping those out. But you want to do it in a way that gives people a reason to subscribe and keep coming back. That's the most
mm,
important thing. If we put out videos for an audience and they don't return, it doesn't really help you. Then you end up with a bunch of subscribers who never get even notified about your videos anymore. Because eventually, if
mm.
they stop watching your content, they don't get suggested it, even if they have a subscription to your channel.
Right, right, right. So are subscribers less important than they used to be?
I think that it's important in some aspects. Some people say, it's just a vanity metric. It's a channel growth metric. It's important to have it. I think it's probably equally as important to build an email list that
Mm,
coincides with your YouTube channel. I know this sounds like a lot of work, but if you think about this, if you get a relationship between an email list and a YouTube channel, then you can actually grow both at the same time. You can create videos that help you grow your email list, and you can also promote videos on your YouTube channel with your email subscribers. So that's a really good strategy, something that I'm working on right now. I think the biggest thing, though, like there's something underneath the surface here that I want to address when it
mm,
comes to YouTube videos. From what I've seen, when people are trying to leverage external efforts to put in a piece of content on YouTube,
mm,
most of the time it just doesn't perform well. And that's not a hard rule, but the content that performs the best on YouTube
mm.
is created for the platform. The
Right.
creators who are putting that time, effort, and energy into creating original content for YouTube, because it's a different kind of game.
Mm,
It's not the same as the other platforms. But you have to also factor in the encouraging piece here is that your evergreen content, when done correctly, will continue to perform for you for months to years. And as we know, when you only focus on feed based social media, TikTok, LinkedIn, etc., your shelf life for your content for the most part is what, like 3 days, 7 days, a week. Like no one really sees that stuff after a while. It sort of just disappears into the void. But you are creating a library of assets that can perform for you for the long term on YouTube. And that's what makes it worthwhile.
Yeah, that's excellent stuff. Let me go into the comments again. Oh, so interesting convo, enjoying it as always, gents. So thank you so much, Nathan, for that. Thank you for the insight. Majida is saying that as well. Thanks, guys. We get too many sponsors and too many bookings. Some people are rolling in it.
Yeah, brand deals are fun. I'm just starting to dig into that. It's really cool. You can actually connect with brands on Twitter a lot of the times and just ask them if they're open to it. I've had good response there. So I'm not at the point yet where I have too many people reaching out. That'll be a good problem to have.
Yeah, that's gonna be like next year or so. But yeah, I'm gonna say that next year. So what's the guy's name? The guy who you mentioned with Notion earlier.
Oh, Thomas. Is it Franklin or Frank? I know it's Thomas Frank. If you search Thomas Frank in Notion, I guarantee you'll find him. He's got a goatee. You'll find him.
Yeah.
Great creator.
All right, so okay, one of my ideas so lots of comments, but we have to bring things in for a landing. I didn't expect this to go like this. It went really well, actually. Went really excellently.
It's been a lot of fun, man. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. I usually have a lot more. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do, Matthew. I was glad I had this opportunity to do this way, because normally I put a lot of effort into doing backstory stuff, and I think a lot of this practical things will be useful for people. And so yeah, I think this is probably might be a watershed moment in this show in terms of how I treat with this. It's interesting. Some bulbs are going off. Bulbs are going off.
Bulbs.
Yeah, bulbs. So yeah, any last questions from Matthew? Anybody in the comments? Oh my goodness. Okay, long form format, like the golden nuggets, lots of stuff going up here. Long format is great. Also, imagine how many shorts really you can chop out of it with the highlights. Yes.
I love that. It's so fun. You can make longer form content and turn it into stuff for other places. It's great.
Yeah, yes, definitely. Like this show is going to be in other places, I'm sure. Exactly, you got it, man. Yes. So Nathan is on it this evening. All right, guys. So we're gonna bring the show in for a landing here this evening. Oh, before we do any of that, I need to kind of just show. So Matthew, you can find Matthew at matthewbiggar.com. That is his website. Go check him out. He has a nice picture going like this. I mean, why didn't you think he's going
it's
like
this?
It's
like a YouTube pose, thumbnail pose
like this on the website. And he also on LinkedIn, right? As well as YouTube, Matt Biggar. I've noticed that lots of people don't have their channel, the name, youtube.com/. They have the kind of the default stuff. So it's important. And just so people know, this is what Matthew sent for me when he was filling out the form. He sent this, which essentially
the subscription link. That's classic.
Which is the sub link. If you want people to sub to your channel with this link, you just have to add that question mark sub on, that whole thing at the end there. And
it's a little hack. But I would caution people, you want people to subscribe who are going to watch your videos.
Right. Because it doesn't make sense is subscribing and then they're like, yeah, I'm never coming back here again.
Yeah, that's when the friends are like, oh, you got a YouTube channel? I'll subscribe. I'm like, are you interested in learning about video? If not, please don't subscribe.
Don't subscribe. Some at Matthew Biggar, that's Twitter and TikTok. And official Matt Biggar, because somebody
had my name on there.
I saw the guy has like one photograph. He has like one pic.
I know.
It's
annoying. And it's like it's totally just collecting dust.
Yeah. I hate that. I hate that. Somebody was sitting on one of my friends' the domain for years of his name, and that was a kind of a weird thing. All right. So is there anything else you want to add? Or any last comments you want to add, Matthew, before we wrap up?
I would like to encourage people to consider YouTube, if you aren't already, as a great platform to build up a brand, to build up an asset for yourself. It opens doors of opportunity for you. It is work, but it's fun. I would never go back. Honestly, consider it. If you think that you've got some subject matter expertise, there's probably search traffic right now out there with people who have problems that you could be helping with your knowledge. So definitely consider it. That's what I'll leave you with.
Yeah, and that's great. That's great. And I have to give the star to Nathan. Nathan has been going crazy in the comments this evening. I think this is probably the first time Nathan jumped on live here, but he has been going crazy in the comments. So I have to give him a round of applause. So,
thank you. Thank you very much.
And tonight we are going to close off. This is episode 7 of the Useful Content Creation Show. We have Matthew Biggar with us, and we thank him so much for being on. And I'll see everyone in the next episode. Bye-bye, everyone.